How's it going, all you B Smitty lurkers? I'm excited to talk about Twin Peaks: The Return. It was on Showtime. It is now available on Blu-ray, and the case is it's pretty epic. It shows the two coupes, and then you open it up, and you got Dougie Jones. Such an amazing cover in the back. Laura Palmer. It's insane how this Laura Palmer image is just like it's like the image of Twin Peaks, and you have the Red Room, not the Red Room, the Black Lodge. You get a whole display of. It's so funny. Like, I get this. I'm like, discs. I gotta have discs. It's so funny, like being so used to like digital and digital downloads, Netflix and all that. But for me, I don't really buy Blu-rays anymore. But this is like an exception. This is something where I would want to have the copy of it. The Return is for sure one of those. Once and forever situations. It's literally a masterpiece. There's, I have a lot of respect for knocking over the mic. A lot of respect for other television shows. I love other shows like The Office and Seinfeld and all that stuff. It's but there's they're all have their similar. They're all similar. They're all have that kind of sitcom. It's kind of like it has its structure and then it's its own storyline within that structure. And David Lynch is everything outside of structure. And that's why I've always appreciated his work. And to be honest, I didn't even know about David Lynch until after high school. I grew up loving Tim Burton, and just never was introduced into David Lynch's work somehow. I just it's David Lynch isn't some like in every his it's not in everyone's radar. It's not in the general public's radar. I wouldn't say. I think. He's obviously super insanely popular. But no one that I went to school with for sure. Talked about David Lynch since I'd never heard of him at that point. But it's so funny. I think about Tim Burton and I think about David Lynch. Like it worked out perfectly. Like, Tim Burton was so outside the box, and it worked out for me growing up. And as I aged, it was a perfect transition once I learned about David Lynch. It was actually my brother, and it was thanks to Netflix when he saw the original Twin Peaks on there. And then once I saw that, and the pilot episode of the original Twin Peaks is brilliant. I was immediately sucked into the David Lynch world from that episode. And, obviously once Elephant Man, Eraserhead, I've heard of those movies, but I hadn't seen them. And then I just like dove deep, and I've been a huge David Lynch fan ever since. And I believe it was 2013, David Lynch had an art show out in Philadelphia, and I made the road trip out there to see that. And I'd like to talk about that on another episode here at B Smitty YouTube channel. That was the Unified Field. I have the book. I definitely want to talk about that at another time. But I want to talk about the Blu-ray Twin Peaks. I think the main purpose to even buy this, besides having a copy of it and not worrying about digital downloads or whatever, is the special features. I'm a big fan of special features. It's something I sought after a lot when I was younger, because I really liked the idea of the figuring out like kind of what they like, what's behind the scenes, the process. As I'm a huge fan of the process, and David Lynch is he's probably the best to examine as how he works with the process, because he he is the process of art. He's always doing something. I feel like, from at least my gathering of following his work for all these years now. And the special features is by far worth purchasing alone. If you're never gonna, if you don't think you're gonna watch the series again, but you enjoyed it, it's worth still buying for the special features. And For me, I've watched the series a couple times, and I've watched different episodes multiple times. On top of that, especially episode eight, or part eight. Part eight is it's it's literally a cinematic masterpiece. It's a storytelling masterpiece as well, and that's might be weird to say because a lot of complaints I hear about David Lynch is him not explaining enough. But I think that's the beauty of David Lynch, and he leaves it open to um, your own creative mind. I think that's kind of the great thing too. Is it however deep your mind goes, you know, that's how crazy Twin Peaks can even get. Twin Peaks can be cut and dry. It can be like, okay, yeah, that's it, to some people. And for others, there will be millions of questions, and you'll have your own answers, and then it might not be the same as others. And that is a rare thing for sure. Um, part eight is to me solidifying what it is to be an artist and having the creative freedom to be the artist that you want to be. I think that's obviously the hardest thing probably in the Hollywood world is having Final Cut, being able to really just do what you want to do. Like basically, like how I think of it is like when you were in art class and you actually got to do whatever you wanted. You can paint, you can draw, you make something like clay. You had a project that you can do whatever you want, and that actually doesn't really exist after art class in school. That there's not much that you can really do unless obviously if you're doing it for yourself and you're you know putting it out into the world. I think that's what's amazing, and I think that's what a lot of people take for granted these days is really the internet itself and what it has become is you have the luxury of Final Cut on your own Instagram. You have luxury of Final Cut on your website and YouTube and everywhere else. And I think that's why it's also important. I'm really battling myself on getting my website updated daily. I think the last time I updated it was Christmas already, and I was trying to get it on the program because your own website is 100% Final Cut. Instagram can flag something just because they feel like it. They could change their algorithms more, and no one sees your stuff even more. Facebook's already kind of hammered down to where I think like 2% of people see your stuff on Facebook if you have a Facebook page. So it's you have a lot of outside sources on social networks, kind of like dumbing down your content so you can pay, as a pay to play situation, which rightfully so. I mean, someone created that platform for everyone to use, and someone needs to make money there because obviously there's many people who are working behind the scenes to make Facebook happen, and so on. So, but like I said, a website is Final Cut, and for sure that's something I need to I need to get on the program of posting first on my website and then distributing from there. That is by far the best way to do it. It's just getting the discipline of making that happen. Which, if you've kind of followed me around with what I've been doing lately, you can tell I've been trying to do it slightly, been on the struggle with it, but this is a good reminder that Final Cut is important for sure. And you're not limited on a website. You can write as many paragraphs as you want as a certain post, have it all together, have context to a photo, context to something else, and I think that's the great thing about it. And I think my favorite part too, there's it's behind the scenes stuff. There's no favorite part, but one scene I really like is when they're making the scene. He needed eggs and something else like oh cream. He needed cream corn, and so they have the whole from the scene at the sheriff's station, and it literally shows them just creating it right there on the spot. He realized he needed something else, or the idea sparked that like that makes sense, the cream corn, and it just it's amazing to see that. It's such an insane like dive into the creative process and what's happening at that moment, and it's really just it's for sure a privilege just to be able to see that, and it's like you're there when it's happening. And so that for sure alone is worth the purchase. And if you've watched it once, I highly suggest to watch it again. That's the glory of David Lynch's work is you can watch it again and find stuff and maybe even rethink what you were thinking before. And you know, you know that's the great thing about his work. It's such a it's for the open minded. It's for it's really it's really he David Lynch to me gives the okay to be an artist. There I don't think there's any other person, at least in like filmmaking, that has that. That has that that vibe of like it's okay to do what you want to do. There's plenty of other directors that I actually love. It's Christopher Nolan's amazing. His work is insane. It's like, um, uh, but to me, with like I think Christopher Nolan to me is like he is a master at like the the like film. He is a master at making a movie. I think that's kind of the best way to do that. Of like he makes a film like beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I think David Lynch makes a film um, basically with 100% freedom, and I think you can tell the differences. Even if Christopher Nolan maybe has Final Cut, but it's a whole different. It's based. I mean, to me, David Lynch is like the the artist filmmaker, and I think Christopher Nolan is like a filmmaker. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that makes any sense, and I don't even know if any of that's true. I'm making it all up. It's just kind of like how I feel, watch when I watch, or how I kind of would describe the two, obviously. Um, but I think that's the great thing is everyone. When you're an artist, everyone has their opinions. You know what I mean? There's people who don't like David Lynch's films, and me, it's like to me, I'm already really hoping that there's something else coming out in the future, whether it's another Twin Peaks or whether it's he hasn't done a film since to me I think Twin Peaks is a film. It's an 18-hour film. Like I really do think that. Um, like it's to me it's designed that way. It's almost like there's so many mini films within it. Um, it's pretty it's pretty great for sure, and but I hope there is another feature film release of David Lynch. Um, I'm not too sure what his last actual like wide release was. It probably it could have been Mulholland Drive. Um, was his last kind of like theatrical release. I'm not too sure on that. I know Mulholland Drive is insanely disturbing. One of my all-time favorites. I highly suggest checking out Mulholland Drive with Naomi Watts, um, and it's that's another film where it's David Lynch has that type of he has that power of like when you watch it, you're like no one else can make this. He somehow finds the perfect people for his actors and actresses for his films and his shows where it's just like no one else could do this, no one else could actually do that as well. Um, like the Golden Globes was just on. I was really hoping for Colin McLaughlin to win. I'm actually a huge Ewan McGregor fan. I didn't watch the film that he was in, but um, big fan of Ewan McGregor. But to me the difference between I think without even seeing other people's stuff that was also nominated. This is not a disrespect. Is that like the Colin McLaughlin role in the Twin Peaks Return? It's to me that was it had to be really grueling to do. Um, Almost had to be like you'd have to have mental stability to to get through that in a way, and he nailed it. It's just like the show is a once in a forever situation. No one else is going to make anything like it. Um, or they're gonna people will try, but nothing's gonna compare to the at all because you could tell even with the old series of Twin Peaks when it like for something that was David Lynch directed and what wasn't, and Kyle MacLachlan's performance in the Return is a once and forever performance. It's three different characters and three completely different characters, and it's not even characters like I think what's crazy about Kyle MacLachlan is he like he internally acted out these characters, and I think that's an amazing thing to do. And it's unfortunately they didn't win. I'm glad he got nominated still, but it's to me, I'm glad that he was nominated so people were aware of the performance that he did, because it was amazing. And just hats off to Kyle MacLachlan on that, and David Lynch and all the cast and crew of The Return. It's just a phenomenal 18-part series, and of course, I'm greedy just like every other Twin Peaks fan that I hope there's more. But to be honest, it is a complete package. I just know David Lynch. If he wanted to do more, it would be, it would be great. It'd be it'd be a whole nother world in a way. He like no one expected The Return how it was, 100%. Like it wasn't anything like the old series, and I'm so glad it wasn't like the old series. I think that's kind of an easy way to do. Every show kind of does that. They kind of pick up where they left off and go as it is. And David Lynch, David Lynch used like little like little pieces, and he created his new what he felt, and I think what he perfected of what would be going on 25 years later, obviously, and using those pieces and making a new puzzle without those pieces to place those old pieces in. If that doesn't make any sense, I know it does in my brain. But um, anyways, yeah, this is it. Twin Peaks Blu-ray. I don't know how many discs was in here. It's a lot. Yeah, it doesn't readily say, but there's many discs in here, and it's for sure 100% worth it. There's a link below to check it out. And thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I'll talk to you guys soon.